Before I start, I just want to say, I don't ever want to hear it again. This trash with people going, "Oh, what's the point of complaining about it? It's already done, just deal with it." Or, "Is it really that big of a deal? Do you need to keep talking about it?" This is why, when you really don't like something going on in this industry, you speak up about it. EA has been getting blasted from every corner of the internet over the loot boxes and microtransactions in Battlefront 2. Just getting hammered non-stop with negative press and angry players, to the point where they have been forced to react. They've realized they can't just give everyone the silent treatment, and perhaps the game is at risk of going down hard if they do. And thus, they released this statement. Oh, it's beautiful. I'm just going to focus on the key points and avoid the fluff. But as we approach the worldwide launch, it's clear that many of you feel there are still challenges in the design. We've heard the concerns about potentially giving players unfair advantages, and we've heard that this is overshadowing an otherwise great game. This was never our intention. Sorry we didn't get this right. We hear you loud and clear, so we are turning off all in-game purchases. We will now spend more time listening, adjusting, balancing, and tuning. This means that the option to purchase crystals in the game is now offline, and all progression will be earned through gameplay. The ability to purchase crystals in-game will become available at a later date, only after we've made changes to the game. We'll share more details as we work through this. That's right, in-game purchases are being 100% removed for the launch of the game. You will not even have the option to purchase the crystals, which are the real money currency to buy stuff in-game. Everything must be earned in-game for now. And that's of major importance, right? They also mention these will become available again at a later date. So, sure, we haven't totally driven the microtransactions out of this game, but we've pushed them back, delayed them at least. I'm hoping that this means EA is looking to do a major overhaul on the system. I think even they know they can't just reintroduce this system at a later date with some minor tweaks, like a small price adjustment, etc. This will need major changes, and I'd hope that they'd do something akin to Overwatch. I know many of you are going to be like, "No, they're all bad." Well, the cosmetic route is at least the least bad, in my opinion. When only cosmetics and such are obtainable through loot boxes, you know, things that don't actually have any impact on the game, players don't seem to mind. And I think that would be a good route for this game. I mean, it's freaking Star Wars. There are tons of different looks you could make for your characters. A Hoth Luke, an Endor Han, etc. You know, a legendary Anakin skin for Vader, something like that. There are plenty of things you can do going the cosmetic route. But we can only judge what they decide to do with the loot boxes when they actually decide to do them. The key point is that the players spoke and EA was forced to listen. Oh, believe me, EA isn't getting any props from me for doing this. As I've stated before, when you make an awful decision, you know, I'm not going to give you a standing ovation just because you felt like you had to do something because of all the negativity you were receiving for that decision. You best believe, if it wasn't for how out of hand this story got, nothing would ever have been done. EA didn't do this because they care so much about player input. If that was the case, we wouldn't be here to begin with. They thought this was something they were going to be able to get away with, but we didn't let them, forcing this change. And let me throw in here, I don't know how big of a factor it may play. I don't think it really is now, but these gambling allegations made towards these games, you know, buying these loot boxes as an actual form of gambling has been a hot topic, and I just read it was the Belgian Gaming Commission has just begun a real investigation into whether or not Overwatch and Battlefront 2's loot box systems are in fact a form of gambling. EA has even officially commented on this, saying, "No, going with the argument we've seen before of, well, you're always guaranteed to receive something in the end, it's at least worth bringing up. I think that such investigations could put some pressure on certainly future games being developed with loot boxes in mind. Also, and I've seen absolutely no evidence to corroborate this, but, you know, The Last Jedi isn't far off, and I mean, could possibly have Papa Disney stepped in and been like, hey, you idiots, can you stop bringing all this negative press around Star Wars when we're so close to this major motion picture release? Again, I haven't seen anything about Disney stepping in, but, I mean, it would make sense. As for the game itself, Battlefront 2, I said from the beginning of this issue when it all started, I was never calling for a boycott of the game. I did say I hope those who do buy it, hopefully they don't support the in-game purchases, but now you don't have that debacle, which is nice. But do I think people should support this game now that the loot boxes are gone? That is an interesting conundrum, because the way I see it, the message that you want to send is that gamers aren't putting up with these microtransaction-filled games, right? Now that they're out, the game doesn't have this problem, but they will be back. And players really forced the publisher's hand here. Games like Shadow of War, you know, they still have them, but they also didn't get as much negative press. So you'd have to wonder, if they did, if they would have also made this decision. It's like, do you reward good behavior even if the person who committed it basically was forced to do so against their will? Because you don't want other developers to take this like, hey, they took the microtransactions completely out of the game and it still flopped, so let's just go crazy. I'll go with my basic logic on the gaming industry here. The way I always see it, if a game is good, I want it to do well, I want it to sell well. So those of you who are or will play the game can tell me, you know, is the game sans microtransactions of high quality? If so, yeah, I'd say, you know what, no. I'm reserving this. I can't say what I want to see from this game until I hear about the new take on the microtransactions. Because, you know, I don't want people buying something, you know, telling all their friends, oh, the microtransactions are gone, let's all get it. You know, get all your friends and your guild mates and whatever into this game, and then have them all only get screwed over by the same issue a month or so later. So yeah, with that, this video's a wrap. Sure, this doesn't completely solve the microtransaction and loot box dilemma for this game, but this is certainly a giant leap in the right direction. Let me know your thoughts on the most recent development on this crazy story of Star Wars Battlefront 2 in the comments. As always, I'm John Zakari, and thanks for watching.